Hello, everybody, and welcome to today's segment of our welcoming of the 24 wood dragon of this year. So I just seen a bunch of people hop on, and that just startled me. This is amazing. We're starting to get the flow of this experience. So welcome, everybody. We are super excited because this year we are claiming something way bigger than we've ever dreamt about. And this year, our dragon is ready to welcome in as a protector, the guider, and also the one that is saying, let's get ready for this year to rock and rumble. So if you are ready, please hop into our comment section of allowing us to chat more about what things that you want to find out or information, because this is for you. All of our lovely subscribers and our members of the Niche Nation are here to give you all the amazing tips, tricks, and news on what is happening in the world today. So let's get ready to rumble and talk about what is happening in this year for the Wood Yang Dragon. So if any of you have ever practiced or had the ability for coming into our Chinese restaurants and having lots of connection with international culture, this is something that is a huge celebration at this time. And even if you are just local and had experienced this in just your local restaurants or your families that or friends that have been in the Asian culture, we really want to welcome in the balance of all of our nations, and that is where my practices come from. So our awesome day of celebration has come from my teachings of my uh teacher in grade 6, and then we also were friends with some Asian families, and then also had products that we would sell to the Asian markets and had tons of connections this way. So this comes from quite a few years of being just honored and celebrated in what we all have such great memories and kind of theories, mythologies, folklore into what our years all mean. And this is one of my favorite times of the year because, truthfully, January is a lot of chaos. And we are trying to work through that experience of Christmas. Then we're told that we need to be functioning for our New Year's resolutions. But this is truthfully the season of really welcoming in our actual year. So it takes a little while for our years to get ramped up and ready to rumble, and that is why a lot of you have been feeling this way with our dragon being passed the torch from our rabbit. So we are super excited that the teachings of our water yin rabbit was really big in showing us our emotions, trying to slow us down, but now we are ramping up. So a lot of people are coming into this factor of feeling like they're sassy or spicy or there's something different about you today. That is why so many people are feeling like they're a bit of a volcano right now, knowing something big is about to happen, and it's going to be the explosion that we're welcoming into our life. But that is where the wood element comes in to just simmer it down, balance it, ground it, right? Stabilize what we are experiencing so that this can be our welcome of what power has been really asked for you to be presented. So if any of you have not followed some of my previous videos, this year is also prophesized as the year of reclaim. So a lot of power tones are coming through this year, and it's really important to understand that why we go through these cycles and why people bring up these like kind of these mirrored experiences and seeing what has been happening in everybody's states right now. We are seeing a lot of state of just saying enough is enough. We're seeing a lot of people in a mental state saying, I'm done with the BS or the struggles. I'm really wanting to say, I'm standing up for this. So that is why you're seeing in these states of expression, really a lot of power. And that is where we will dive into why this dragon is so powerful this year. So, as we get started, we are going to talk about how this is the 60-year cycle of the dragon welcoming itself back into our experience, and that this is the year 9 that is coming up for in feng shui, but in numerology, this is the year of 8. So, there's a lot of infinity patterns, also a lot of ending patterns. So you're seeing a lot of people saying that this is black or white, or they're all in or they're all out. And there's a lot of expression towards that because some people have been just noticing that the work that they've been doing, and I get this comment a lot saying, Shanice, I've been doing the work. How come this isn't coming through this way? Or how come I'm not feeling understood? Or I feel like I'm just hitting a brick wall all the time, because this is what it's been waiting for you to be tested and ready to receive in this year. So a lot of people have talked about abundance and talked about prosperity and wealth and health and all these different experiences that we are about to receive. But remember, energy has to have that exchange balance back and forth with each other. So if you are seeing a lot of people just getting things handed to them, there's a lot of karma that's set back into that, or that is their payout this lifetime from previous lifetimes. So understand that this dragon, in a lot of mythological teachings, are taught that they are the bad guy, the dangerous one. The knights come to protect them from and take them back, take the princess back from them. But truthfully, the dragon is actually a steward. It's a custodian of keeping the jewels, because they were taught that man was not strong enough to actually have the abilities to maintain and know the worth of their treasures. So that is where this year you're going to be tested to see, are you maintaining and gatekeeping these treasures? And so you always see this with the dragon, and then the dragon has so much destruction and the fiery breath and all the things that you've seen maybe in on Avatar as well, where you're seeing that they're claiming their dragon, but they have to be tested. So if you have any fantasy of dragons, you are going to totally see it this year, that is going to be a constant pattern for you coming up with that. So colors are going to be a huge theme this year, because you're going to see a lot of golds, you're going to see a lot of emeralds, you're going to see ruby colors, and this is all about honoring that radiance. So a lot of this richness color is going to be presented because people need to understand that they're ready to express themselves. This isn't about being dull. This isn't about hiding in the background. They are asking you to represent, period. So knowing what you might really want to look into your fashion, what you are looking into your business, your logos, also about what you might be freshening your home up with. So right now is not a good time to be revamping everything. Usually you want to be doing your revamping at least a um, week ahead of your New Year's, because then that way it gives it time to settle in. And this is a time of celebration currently right now. So, this is where if you have not done that and you're just watching this and getting into these traditions, it's okay. Don't panic. Just give this a little bit of time. Set some plans and intentions. And a great one would be is to offer your space a rice bowl. And if you haven't heard of this before, this is in many actually culture teachings, that when you would walk into the entrance of many restaurants, either Vietnamese, Mandarin, Chinese, this Asian teaching comes from that honoring and offering platform to when people walk in. So their counters have a lot of like the waving kitties, or the abundance Buddhas. A lot of these structures are about welcoming in and offering back. So there's a lot of food offerings or flowers, incense that comes into this. So that's why when you have an entrance or your home or the center heart of your home, when you do more Googling of your feng shui teachings, then and tips, this will then show you that this is really important to come back and ground yourself into what are you offering back instead of always asking and taking. So there has to be balance that is mutual in this experience. So after that, we really want to talk about how there's so many new beginnings coming forward in this. And a lot of people feel frustrated because they thought they should be somewheres already by now, but trusting that the universe has so much more in their plan than sometimes our own limited beliefs believe, but we think it's so grand and we think it's so huge. I really want you to understand that this is where you're coming back to claim your power. And the dragons within yourself are really asking you to hone in. What is your sacred teachings? What is being asked of you to speak up? And there's a balance, right? We don't want to be just a fire dragon when we're trying to say hi and hello to people, because then we're going to be taken as very rude or standoffish or just very egotistical because you think you have so much. And that's where there's that balance. So, really working on your grounding practices to help balance that experience as you're trying to say your truth, as you're trying to express what should be really a change in your environment or your home or your schools or the government. There's a lot of things that you're going to see that, if you haven't been noticing lately, a lot of big energy coming forward and people really starting to know their facts, not just kind of saying things hearsayly. They're just really big into stating facts. So that's what I'd like you to go back to and really understand, what facts are you wanting to present back into this world. Um, Now, a big thing we want to talk about is the balance. So, when we talk about yin and yang, this is about knowing your, when you see the white and black symbol, this is about your feminine and masculine. So, right now, this is a very masculine energy that this dragon is bringing to the table. But we also just came into our new moon of Aquarius and the Aquarius season. So, there is a balance, and Aquarius is not water, it is a air sign. So having this fire, wood, so earth energy, and having the ability to bring back this dragon that does represent some fire for sure, has the ability to burn shit down or actually have a nice controlled burn. So working on your deliverance is huge. And hence why you're seeing so much of our expressions lately. People are just knowing they're so full of expression, but sometimes words aren't coming out. So just again, ground and come back into the balance of knowing why this is going to be such a big duality this year. And again, this is about renewal and this is about growth within self. So there's tons of expansion that's coming within the self this year. And emerald greens are your lucky color. So if you are just feeling like you need a little bit more luck in your step, this is where it's definitely something to welcome that in. Now, you see tons of teachings talk about money trees and crystals and how to arrange your rooms and all of these different aspects for bringing in flow. What I tell and teach people all the time when I do house clearings or blessings or land ceremonies, it's really big to listen to what is your space asking of you. So imagine your den, your office as that dragon's den this year. And I'm not asking for you to all dig moats around yours and put a few crocodiles or piranhas in it to keep out the bad guys, but I want you to have a philosophy of that, because as you are starting to see lots of family, friends, coworkers, even people that are in this experience right now are trying to push you into their side, their team, their army for it. So you have to have a lot of discernment this year of what is everybody trying to get you to do. And if it's not following your compass and your heart, this is where it's really important to understand that you might have to remove some of that plaque we have either in our throat chakra or our crown chakra, thinking that this is what we need to be doing. And know that this is where you have to really balance out your survival, your root chakra, from what you're rushing into or getting yourself caught in by just staying stuck. So have that balance 1000% into what's really important moving forward. So, as you're gonna hear, tons of luck, 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 money, 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 wealth, 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 health, health, health. All of that is a huge theme this year. So, we're not joking when these things are being represented this way, because it's really important that when you are diving into this, you have to come back into knowing your courage versus what is somebody else's just false inflation of your egos. So knowing that you have the courage to do the things that need to be done, and you're gonna see a lot of household and different dynamics moving and shifting this year. So you're gonna see a lot of people, and I'm just like kind of one working with how I should word this, because a lot of people are going to try and put so much on you to say that this is how it should be done or this is what you need to be doing. And you really, I truthfully ask you to sit there and journal tonight after this video about what are you being called into, because the problem that everybody is facing right now, and I've just came back from tour and having tons of phone calls about this since our 2024 has welcomed itself. Um, so many people are finding there's jealousy or very um, disrespectful or discarding or disgraceful words, actions, um, conversations, and things that have happened lately. And you're gonna see a lot of people saying enough is enough. So if you're starting to see a family member who's just really like getting settled into that stance of saying no more, and they're rooting in that statement and they're not moving from that, you're gonna see also the complete opposite of it, that people are just gonna try and bully or push their ways into your spaces because they like what you have and what you're standing for or what you're expressing, and they're gonna be like, "Oh, so you think you know what you got?" Remember, your dragon is there to protect you and also bring some big magic. So, big videos for you guys to be watching is the Never Ending Story, which is ironic because this year is going to be their 40th year of being in production, and it is so crazy when you, if you haven't watched it or need to rewatch it or have watched it, this is where there's a huge theme about what we are experiencing in this year about that movie, and really knowing that you have your luck dragon with you. So I won't spoil too many details because I want you to go and watch it and experience it again. Um, Now, when we say that we're welcoming in this new age, this is talking about the Aquarius energy. So, really understanding that there's a lot of big thinking and expressing that will be coming out of it, but sometimes you feel very shut down to express that. So that's where it's literally the perfect combination or the perfect storm to really welcome in what is going to be expanded this year. And like I said, if we haven't seen much evidence of it lately, you will be seeing everything shaking in our justice and political systems. So knowing that this is going to be huge, and there's a big expansion happening in April slash May. There's something that they're really showing us that is stating that there's a lot of huge change and you to make choices at that time, because when the spring comes in of the spring equinox in March, then that April is really starting to bubble up. And then I feel May is going to be a huge, just kaboom month. So take it from me now versus just figuring out what the hell happened. Now, out of the zodiacs, the dragon is the only mythological or folklore character or experience. So a lot of people feel this is sometimes hard to kind of obtain or conduct themselves on a dragon, but if any of you have met dragons as a Chinese zodiac, they are a very powerful but yet compassionate person. And so when you see the whole um Hollywood theme of dragons being mean and ferocious, it's huge about protection and your boundaries. So when you are talking with your own self and your inner dragon this year, really working with how do you actually ride and capture your own dragon this year? So again, there's a lot of different movies out there that I would suggest to just watch what is the dragon theme that's coming up with it, because there's a lot of telltale signs about why the dragon is so important to be connected with you this year. So to come back into the strength and the power part, remember, operating a powerful either weapon or tool or experience takes a lot of practice. So it's really important to know why you are coming back to this truth of how you use your power and your strength properly, because without that, you are going to feel like you're just creating a lot of destruction. And there is going to be a lot of ending in these next few years, but it's important to know that this is where you have to bring that balance back. And with that balance, that's why we talk about different things of how you're going to ground yourself, how do you soothe yourself. And when you come back into that element of the wood, that's where it's asking for you to say, "Hey, I need to take a pause and a break." So we have the different teachings of the wood, the water, the air, the fire, the metal, and then there's also sometimes the earth, depending on which compass of elements you go with. And that is where the wood is really big into that rootness. And it's also expanding into working with a lot of breath. And it's big into welcoming in just things that are in your surroundings. So nurturing what you're supporting is a big theme with the wood element. And knowing to have courage, that is going to be a big theme for your aha moments. Um, and it's also important to know that you need to slow down. So that's why I said it's a feeling of that volcano. When it's time for you to rock and rumble, you'll know when it's time, and you just have to trust not to pull the trigger too quickly. And so if any of you are trigger happy, put a safety on. And so what that means is just have something that's just going to have that ability to just welcome you back into reality and say, "Okay, is this really what I need to use all of my, like, my big kabang, my big shot at? Am I gonna take it and make the bullseye of what I'm trying to really stand up for?" So if you don't feel you're 100% ready and have that full disclaimer or truth that you are gonna stand in that no matter what, it's not about being stubborn. I want that to be very clear this year. You're not asked to be stubborn, you're asked to stand with strength, wisdom, and grace, because that is what truly the dragon means. And it's also helping you get back from that indecisiveness and taking that action to be firm, not bullying, not petitioning in a way to just make everybody else get on your side. That's not about it. You understand that when flow and connection and authenticity comes truthfully in the factor of a situation, an experience, those that truly feel that authenticness in your heart or your speech or your connection, then they know where they need to stand and experience. So we're not telling everybody where to go and how to get there. Um, and just knowing, because you have to have that balance with the yang. There's so much to talk about in that yang, and just knowing how do we really express in that truth and not second guessing how we need to show up. So that's a big thing with it. Um, Now, when we are coming back to this level of expression and having our homes are a big part of this year that you really want to welcome in your feng shui with. And it's going to be about figuring out your directions. And a lot of people that I've done house clearings for already just feel there's a lot of things that are off. So instead of overpacking everything in your space, you want to actually just sometimes minimalize, because the dragon's very good at hoarding and bringing things into their nest and their den, but knowing what are you staying focused to. So in my background, you can see I have some big themes that are in my space, and that's why it's important to really welcome in what are your key factors when you're working towards that experience. I'm just looking at what else is here. Now, yes. So coming back into the body, right? So in that home, we want to talk about what our bodies are, and that's also our home as well. So when we're dealing with the wood element, you're really dealing with our liver and our gallbladder. So in that time frame, if you've ever seen the organ clock, I would definitely look that up. And that is something that you can start to see that when we're dealing with these specific organs, in Chinese medicine, it is really important to know that your organs also hold emotions or experiences. So when we're dealing with the liver, that's our anger organ. So a lot of people, when they are alcoholics or they're very angry, they have a very hot or fatty or the alcoholic liver. Um, because that organ is there to take out the toxins. So if we're not taking out the trash of our body, it's hard for our liver to function, and the gallbladder is also attached to that. So when you see people say that they have gallbladder attacks or things like that, it's literally a fuse that the gallbladder is in, and it has the ability to be removed. But truthfully, then you are only left with your gallbladder, your liver, with no gallbladder and no bile. So in that state, you have to be very discerning on how you're going to eat certain foods. So that's why a lot of people say that they can't eat fried chicken after that or certain different rich foods, because it's hard for your body to break it down. But truthfully, your organs are asking you to have that purge and that detoxing. So if you haven't done a detox yet or lately, it's very important to come back into that. Um, and again, it's really big into knowing that this wood element is about our experience of the next generation, the future. So it's about that seedlings. What are we passing down? What's the rite of passages? Your growth, right? All the rings in a tree. So whenever a lot of people ask me, well, how do you know all this stuff? You have to sometimes just look at it simply of like, what does a tree look like? What does a tree do? Right? So there's different layers of knowing when is it time to grow? When do we take water in? How do we take in something toxic from the environment and put out something good again? So that's a big theme that's coming up with that. Um, and again, the balancing of the wood and the dragon, it's about that funness and that expansion. So that's why there's so much to be excited and courageous for. So you're gonna feel like you're going on quite a few quests this lifetime. And you're ready to claim your destinies versus what's just my fate. And to bring that balance into what is fate versus destiny is really to say about how do you actually say, I am worth this. And that's going to be a huge teaching for so many people that they'll see this video, they'll be talking to me in sessions, and they're like, okay, cool, Shanice. How do I even start to like actually bring this into my space? How do I actually say that this is something that I can achieve? So we want to remind you that there's different ways that you can work with your words. So a lot of people say, in the storybooks, that they whispered a spell to make the dragon sleepy, or they came in and just whispered sweet nothings into their ears to try and coax them into being not awake and as powerful. So again, that gossiping, that manipulation of what we're seeing in this is really big into your words and how you wanna stand up and how what you want to claim and be summoned for your power. Um, and that's prayer, right? We wanna put those intentions out there and affirmations so that we know that this is really what we're asking for and to be very specific. So, as I always teach that experience with people, I say, like, this isn't about something where you're like, well, I just want a good relationship. Okay, what kind of good relationship? Are we talking about family? Are we talking about coworkers? Are we talking about love, right? Your internal relationship. So it's really big to go back and have this kind of awareness of how do we stand up for our year. So, what I'd like you guys to do, if you've got a pen and paper, I want you to break this down into 4 sections. And in these sections, I want you to put your seasons. So we're going to start with the winter season as we are currently in that. Then we are going into spring. Then we are going into summer. And then we are going into fall. So as you're starting to have these different experiences with our sorry, with our seasons, this is what's going to help you be more specific of what you're manifesting and intending in this year. So when you think about these seasons, winter is big into really balancing and hibernating, renewing and ending. Okay. This is where it's about having that ability to just be um, very introspective of what we had experienced already and knowing that we're taking in this wisdom and doing the work to write poetry, books, recipes, that nesting feeling, right? So it's not overly a busy season and time with that, but that's why we have to kind of gear ourselves with a little bit of a roadmap this year because you're going to just feel like you're a jack out of the box as soon as this spring energy comes in. And with us having such a late and warm winter, a lot of people are feeling very burnt out right now. So you want to have that balance and know what that ability is for your future endurance because this year is going to ask a lot out of you. So, taking this winter, these next couple of months to really balance that out. And then in springtime, what are we starting to get planted? What are we intending? What are we wanting to see happen this year? And that's going to be your year of just really welcoming and excitement. It's that renewal, that sun, that birthing, right, from that renewal of the winter. And then we get into our summer. And that is where you will see in August 8th of this year is the triple eight portal. And so that is called the Lions Gate portal. And it's extremely powerful because that is where you are in the sun at the highest peak, lots of power coming up with that. So you're going to be really high in the sky, shining bright, doing so many different modality movements of your ability being perfected almost in a sense. But then there's going to be that let off, that climax, and now the decline. And that's where in fall you're really asking to be busy on that harvesting and coming back into knowing, we have long days, long hours to put in, but the sun is starting to be less, right? So it's watching how our seasons really impact what we're trying to accomplish. And in that fall, then you come back into again another cycle of thankfulness. So every quarter, you want to have those celebrations of thankfulness, aka your spring equinox and your solstices. Um, so that will balance what you're going to be welcoming here shortly. And that's where we want to talk about ceremony because without your roadmap and not knowing what you actually want to put out there in your year, right? Then you don't really know how you want to host and work on asking and bringing that into your space. So for today's ceremony, we really want to advocate that you are here with intention because that is what the dragon is being in this kind of scale this justice system right now for you to say, this is what I want to provide, and this is also what I want to receive. And they're going to see if this is actually balanced. Because if you're an overgiver right now, you're going to burn out. So then the dragon's going to say, okay, but you can't keep doing this because then you're always in this constant state of survival. So, what they want you to do with this intention is a prayer and intention bowl. So, what you will need in your ingredients is you need to have some sort of crystal or some sort of fancier bowl, and it doesn't have to be big. But it is something that you are going to be setting intention with in this next while to really anchor in what your ask is for this year. So in these fancier bowls, you can also have a nice little doily or tablecloth, um, or a plate, um, a plate that has just a bigger platter maybe, or a bigger plate underneath it so you can place different things around it when you're setting the intentions. And after that, when you are done, setting it in a place where you can welcome in. So it might be at your door entrance, it might be near your entertaining, not near electronics, because you want to just have that um, not non-interference, but if there's just, a living room area or somewheres where it doesn't have a lot of technology in it, just having it somewheres where you welcome and it's attracting into your space. So in that bowl, you wanna place some salt, and salt is a big protector, or if you have selenite, those are, different tools that are always cleansing the space, that you don't have to recharge right away. And then after that, in your bowl, you wanna put rice. And so rice is about the health, the fertility, the abundance. It's a big symbol in the Asian teachings because that is their staple, right? So without rice, they didn't have life. And it's important to know that when we are placing the rice, you're setting that with intention and gratitude when you're placing it in this bowl. After that, then you wanna have the, cinnamon sticks, and cinnamon and spices were a huge thing in the past about what was your royalty status or your levels of it. Because if you had teas or spices or different fragrances, then that showed that you were a part of wealth or had big connections and very big into the world of just that royalty or that kind of the show offness. So that's why it's having that balance of displaying it in kindness, not overabundant. So if you have a cinnamon stick or sprinkle some cinnamon, that would be great to place this in your platter. Now, it will be in your discernment of where do you want to put the cinnamon. Sometimes the cinnamon is going to be at the bottom of the plate if you're doing a double stack layer, or a cinnamon stick inside the bowl with the rice and it's sitting on top, or you can have it in the center as just like really attracting that beauty, the aroma, the balance. It's also used for prosperity. So once you have that, then you're also going to be putting in your incense sticks into this, and it's or having an incense holder near it if it's going to create a little bit more of mess to it, or your incense cones, because this is where you're asking to have the prayer and attention to this. So if you have any coins or money envelopes are a huge tradition, right? When we are given money envelopes, it's about gratitude and prosperity, and you never want to open it in front of anybody who has given it to you. Also, you don't want to be opening it right away. Usually, my money envelopes I don't open until the next year, because it is just a symbol of somebody wishing you the best. So you sometimes don't want to open. It's like a can of pop. If you open it, all the bubbles and fizzes get out of it quicker, so you don't have a bubbly drink. But it's knowing that you have it in a place of honor and prayer and connection. If you are gifting a money envelope this season, please note that you numbers just attract, some negative feng shui that you just are always feeling like you're not pairing up or matching up. So even numbers are a very honored dollar amount to be offering that. We do that quite a bit in our own ceremonies when we're offering that into our groups, where everybody puts in an amount and then we mix up the envelopes and then exchange that out to each other, because then that way you just don't know what you're receiving. And at the end of the year, it's really cool to see what was being blessed into your space. So again, if you have any loonies or toonies, gold again is a huge color this year, greens. So these are different abundance levels that you really want to welcome into your connection to this prayer. So after that, then we have a few different crystals we can work with. So either if you have a money tree that has crystals on the branches of it, or an actual living money tree, those things are really big to welcome into the space. So plants are a big feng shui tip. And that is where, if you don't have living, then that's where the crystals come in. And so rose quartz is a huge one to attract that love, the healing, the nurturing, and that unconditional protection. And then also is about jade or aventurine. So the green elements are big ones to welcome into your space that way, because then that way you have the abilities to welcome that abundance level, but they also work together. So again, jade is a very honored crystal into so many cultures. About it gives you, if you wear jade bracelets, it's a big one to ask yourself for that honoring of health. It's really connected to luck, prosperity. So aventurine again is same thing, prosperity, abundance, and then emerald is about your bigger strength and that inner health, but it's in a different kind of way of emeralds, because when you hear a lot of the folklore about the emerald dragon or the emerald necklace or the ring, right? Those are big about really coming back into what was so rich and that rawness of the emerald. And it brings just that, "Ooh, I want that." So it's kind of that protector for in you to have it as your heart. A lot of people say that your heart has a lot to do with your emerald. So you'll see that a lot of people are like, "Ooh, I love what you are. I want to have that," right? That's that dragon protecting it. And again, bloodstone. Bloodstone's going to be huge this year. Also hematite, because your blood systems are going to be needing that more of that vitality oxygenated with the air element, and also knowing your lineages. So your bloodline and feeling like the black sheep of your family is going to be a huge theme this year. So get ready to really have those big dive in deep conversations with family, because in this year of the emerald and the bloodstone, it's really asking for what is no longer, kind of like Gandalf, non shall pass. That is what's happening right now, because if there's things that need to be protected and we are not being responsible with that, we then have the karma this year of the infinity and of numerology of 8. Karma is huge this year to be dealing with. Rubies and Amazonite is a big one, because this is about having that royalty, and then also just the groundedness. When you see somebody having those emeralds, the rubies, right? What do we think of? The kingdoms, right? The kings, the queens, the princes, and the princesses. So a lot of that is being asked to be passed down, or if somebody's not being responsible with the duties, off with their head kind of theme. So we don't really do that in this lifetime currently here, but that is literally what they're being asked to say. If somebody is not doing this in a practice of truth, then you want to say enough is enough. I am done with what is happening here, and I am no longer following somebody who is just in an airhead leader, right? So just in the clouds, thinking all about themselves. So you have to have that discernment. Again, I'm repeating a lot of this stuff because you need to integrate this into your cells. Your soul has to be ready to expand and know that this is the calling, the quest into this. So if you have not watched the other movie, is the Camelot, the quest. It is based on the King Arthur's take of the sword and the truth, and it's a really powerful movie on what influenced me also as a kid, but also knowing who is your inner journey and helping with sometimes our distracted dragons, and you'll find out what that means when you watch it. Um, so again, those are crystals that you can absolutely bring into your bowl prayer center, and then really offering, if you're feeling called to different spices. So the Anzan star, that's a really great one to add around there to know that you're connected with your ancestors and your stars, and also that spice of healing. So sometimes cloves or bay leaves, different spices really ward off or you don't like the scent of them because it's literally sometimes what your body is needing. So again, Chinese medicine is big into herbology and bringing in your meridians, checking in for acupuncture, and also working with your chi, right? So that's your energy. What are your batteries being like? And then if you have some chances to do some dragon yoga or yang yoga, that's going to be really powerful for everybody's bodies this year, is building up that strength, that core um, stability and muscles, and also big into massage. Acupuncture is always huge no matter what year it is, but this year everybody needs to kind of like get their circuits in order because we have some big missions ahead. So, again, everybody, thank you so much on tuning in with us on experiencing what does the dragon have to offer and say to us. And if anybody is looking to see or get their fortune readings, you are more than welcome to contact me on the Niche Nation Instagram, or also on Facebook is the Niche Nation. And we also have our website is big with all of our different products, our events that are happening up to date every year. We have so many different things to shake out. And this year we have our Rise retreat in the fall at the Rock Lake Earth Lodge. And that is going to be a huge theme of the dragon wants to speak to you and work with your inner ancient wisdom, and that's in our fall. But for those that want to be more in the blossom, this is going to be a huge women's retreat of really anchoring in what is your destiny and working through your dynasty. So, what did your generations of ancestors leave you behind with, and what do you have to now stand up and take action with? So, that will be in the Vancouver Island, and that is where we're going to be experiencing our beautiful blossoming season of spring. And we will have so many more opportunities, readings, tours. Our book is going to be launching this year, so we're super excited with that, and our guidance deck. So, like I said, 2024 is no shortage of amazing things that will be happening. And if you are seeking any guidance or clarity through this existence, we are here to help and give you the best tour guide, expansion, and explanation on where and what we should be moving ourselves into. So, again, thank you guys so much for that tuning in, because once you have all of this put together, your prayer plate is ready with the intentions like we talked about, and we will be seeing you in a whole new year. So have fun with your dragons, set those intentions, and like I said, you're working with the prayer and having that welcoming and offering back. So thanks again, everybody. Have a wonderful night, and so much blessings, prosperity, and health and wealth to you and your families. Good night.